Welcome to Light at Night, where we journey into the depths of thought, exploring the profound and the significant. Tonight, we delve into one of the most pressing issues of our time, climate change. This is not just a scientific topic, but a story of our planet, our actions, and our future. Let's embark on this exploration of the science behind climate change, tracing its origins, understanding its mechanisms, and contemplating its far-reaching consequences. To understand climate change, we first need to understand the Earth's climate system. The climate, simply put, is the long-term pattern of temperature, humidity, wind, and precipitation in an area. This system is influenced by a delicate balance of energy from the sun, atmospheric composition, ocean currents, and the Earth's orbit. The story of climate science began centuries ago, but the concept of climate change entered the scientific lexicon in the 19th century. It was during this time that scientists like Jean-Baptiste Fourier, John Tyndall, and Svante Arrhenius started to piece together the puzzle of how our atmosphere traps heat, a process we now know as the greenhouse effect. The greenhouse effect is a natural process that warms the Earth's surface. When the sun's energy reaches the Earth, some of it is reflected back to space, and the rest is absorbed, warming the planet. The Earth then radiates heat back towards space. Greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, like carbon dioxide, CO2, methane, CH4, and water vapor, trap some of this heat, preventing it from escaping and thereby warming the Earth. Without this natural greenhouse effect, our planet would be too cold to support life as we know it. However, the problem arises when human activities, such as burning fossil fuels, deforestation, and industrial processes, increase the concentration of these greenhouse gases, enhancing the greenhouse effect and leading to global warming. As we move forward in time, the scientific community started to notice unusual patterns in the Earth's climate. By the mid-20th century, scientists observed that global temperatures were rising at an unprecedented rate. This observation led to a crucial question: what is causing this warming? To answer this, scientists turned to ice cores, tree rings, coral reefs, and other natural records of Earth's past climate. These paleoclimate records revealed that the Earth's climate has indeed changed many times over millions of years due to natural factors like volcanic eruptions, changes in solar radiation, and variations in Earth's orbit. However, the current rate of change is unlike anything observed in the natural record. The key difference now is the rapid increase in greenhouse gases, primarily carbon dioxide, due to human activities. The Industrial Revolution marked the beginning of large-scale fossil fuel combustion, leading to a significant rise in CO2 levels. Pre-industrial CO2 levels were about 280 parts per million, ppm, but today we have surpassed 420 ppm, a level not seen in millions of years. This spike in CO2 is directly linked to the burning of fossil fuels, coal, oil, and natural gas, which releases carbon that has been locked away for millions of years. Deforestation also contributes to this increase, as trees that would normally absorb CO2 are cut down and often burned, releasing stored carbon back into the atmosphere. But how do we know that this increase in greenhouse gases is responsible for the current warming trend? The answer lies in the overwhelming body of evidence gathered by scientists from around the world. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence comes from climate models, complex computer simulations that use mathematical equations to represent the interactions of the atmosphere, oceans, land surface, and ice. These models have been used to replicate past climate conditions and predict future trends. When greenhouse gases are added to these models, they accurately predict the warming we have observed, whereas models without increased greenhouse gases do not. Satellite observations have also provided a wealth of data. Since the late 1970s, satellites have been measuring the Earth's surface temperature, sea level, and atmospheric composition. These data show that global temperatures have risen by about 1.2 degrees Celsius, 2.2 degrees Fahrenheit, since the late 19th century, with the most significant warming occurring in recent decades. Glaciers and ice sheets, particularly in Greenland and Antarctica, are melting at an alarming rate, contributing to sea level rise. The Arctic in particular has seen dramatic changes, with summer sea ice extent shrinking by more than 40% since the late 1970s. This loss of ice not only contributes to rising sea levels, but also reduces the Earth's albedo, its ability to reflect sunlight, further accelerating warming. As the evidence for climate change has mounted, so too have the impacts. Climate change is not just a future problem, it is happening now, and its effects are being felt across the globe. One of the most visible impacts is the increase in extreme weather events. Heat waves have become more frequent and intense, leading to record-breaking temperatures across continents. Wildfires, fueled by these heat waves and prolonged droughts, have devastated forests, homes, and ecosystems from Australia to California. Hurricanes and typhoons are becoming more powerful, with warmer ocean temperatures providing more energy for these storms. The damage caused by these storms is compounded by rising sea levels, which increase the risk of storm surges and coastal flooding. But the impacts of climate change are not limited to extreme weather. As temperatures rise, ecosystems are being disrupted. Species are migrating to new areas in search of suitable habitats, often with significant consequences for both the species themselves and the ecosystems they leave behind or invade. Coral reefs, which are highly sensitive to temperature changes, are experiencing widespread bleaching and die-offs due to warmer oceans. Agriculture is also being affected. Changes in temperature and precipitation patterns are altering growing seasons, reducing crop yields, and increasing the prevalence of pests and diseases. This poses a significant threat to global food security, particularly in regions already vulnerable to hunger. Water resources are under strain as well. Melting glaciers and changing rainfall patterns are affecting freshwater supplies, with some regions experiencing severe droughts while others face increased flooding. The melting of the Himalayan glaciers, for example, threatens the water supply for millions of people across South Asia. Beyond the environmental impacts, climate change carries a profound human cost. It is disproportionately affecting the world's most vulnerable populations, exacerbating inequalities and creating new challenges for communities worldwide. In many developing countries, where people are more reliant on natural resources and have fewer resources to adapt, the effects of climate change are particularly severe. Rising sea levels are threatening low-lying island nations, where entire communities may be forced to relocate. In other regions, prolonged droughts are driving conflicts over scarce water and land, leading to displacement and migration. Even in developed countries, the impacts are being felt. Coastal cities are grappling with rising sea levels and the threat of more frequent and severe storms. In many cases, the cost of adapting to these changes, through infrastructure upgrades, disaster preparedness, and relocation efforts, runs into billions of dollars. Climate change is also posing significant public health risks. Increased temperatures are leading to the spread of vector-borne diseases, such as malaria and dengue fever, as warmer climates allow mosquitoes and other carriers to expand into new regions. Heat waves are leading to an increase in heat-related illnesses and deaths, particularly among the elderly and vulnerable populations. Air pollution, exacerbated by higher temperatures and more frequent wildfires, is contributing to respiratory and cardiovascular diseases. Mental health is another often overlooked aspect of climate change. The stress and anxiety caused by extreme weather events, displacement, and the uncertainty of the future are leading to what some experts refer to as climate grief. Communities that have been deeply connected to their land for generations, such as indigenous peoples, are facing the loss of their cultural heritage as their environments change or disappear. While the challenges posed by climate change are daunting, science also offers us solutions. Mitigating climate change requires a concerted global effort to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and transition to a more sustainable way of living. But how do we achieve this? The first step is to reduce our reliance on fossil fuels. Renewable energy sources such as solar, wind, and hydroelectric power offer a way to generate electricity without emitting CO2. Advances in technology have made these sources more efficient and cost-effective, and they are being increasingly adopted around the world. However, transitioning to renewable energy is not just about installing solar panels or wind turbines. It also involves rethinking how we use energy, improving energy efficiency, and modernizing our electricity grids to accommodate these new sources. Another key area is transportation. Vehicles powered by gasoline and diesel are a significant source of carbon emissions. Electric vehicles, EVs, which run on electricity instead of fossil fuels, are becoming more common, with major car manufacturers investing heavily in EV technology. In addition to personal vehicles, public transportation systems are being revamped to reduce emissions, with cities around the world adopting electric buses, bike-sharing programs, and infrastructure to support walking and cycling. Agriculture, too, is being transformed. Sustainable farming practices, such as no-till farming, agroforestry, and organic agriculture, help to sequester carbon in the soil and reduce emissions. Reducing food waste and changing dietary habits, particularly by consuming less meat, can also significantly lower the carbon footprint of food production. Forests play a crucial role in absorbing CO2 from the atmosphere, making reforestation and afforestation, planting trees in areas that were not previously forested, critical strategies in the fight against climate change. Protecting existing forests, particularly the Amazon and other tropical rainforests, is equally important. These forests are often referred to as the lungs of the earth, and their destruction would release vast amounts of CO2, further accelerating global warming. Innovations in technology are also offering new ways to combat climate change. Carbon capture and storage, CCS technologies, for example, can capture CO2 emissions from industrial processes and store them underground, preventing them from entering the atmosphere. Research is ongoing into direct air capture, a process that involves removing CO2 directly from the air and storing it or using it in products like synthetic fuels. Science and technology provide the tools, but policy is what drives widespread change. Governments around the world are implementing policies to reduce emissions, promote renewable energy, and protect natural resources. International agreements, such as the Paris Agreement, have set targets for limiting global warming and are encouraging countries to take ambitious action. The Paris Agreement, signed in 2015 by nearly every country in the world, aims to limit global warming to well below 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels, with efforts to keep it to 1.5 degrees. To achieve this, countries have pledged to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions and to regularly report on their progress. The agreement also recognizes the need for financial and technological support for developing countries to help them adapt to the impacts of climate change and transition to low-carbon economies. At the national level, many countries are implementing carbon pricing mechanisms, such as carbon taxes or cap-and-trade systems, to incentivize the reduction of emissions. These policies put a price on carbon, making it more expensive to emit greenhouse gases and encouraging businesses and individuals to adopt cleaner practices. In addition to mitigation efforts, adaptation policies are becoming increasingly important. As the impacts of climate change become more pronounced, countries are investing in infrastructure to protect against sea level rise, developing early warning systems for extreme weather events, and improving water management to cope with changing precipitation patterns. While governments and corporations play a crucial role in addressing climate change, individuals also have the power to make a difference. Our choices in energy use, transportation, diet, and consumption all contribute to our personal carbon footprints. Reducing energy consumption at home by using energy-efficient appliances, insulating homes, and switching to renewable energy providers can significantly lower emissions. Choosing sustainable transportation options, such as walking, cycling, carpooling, or using public transport, can also make a big impact. Diet is another area where individual choices matter. The production of meat, particularly beef, is a major contributor to greenhouse gas emissions. Reducing meat consumption, even by just a few meals a week, can reduce your carbon footprint. Additionally, supporting local and sustainable agriculture helps reduce the emissions associated with food transport and promotes practices that are better for the environment. Reducing waste is also critical. The 3 R's, reduce, reuse, recycle, are more important than ever. Reducing our consumption of single-use plastics, reusing products, and recycling materials helps conserve resources and reduces the emissions associated with manufacturing and disposal. Finally, advocacy and education are powerful tools for change. By staying informed about climate science, supporting policies that address climate change, and spreading awareness within your community, you can help drive the collective action needed to tackle this global challenge. As we look to the future, the choices we make today will determine the world that future generations inherit. The science is clear. We have the tools and knowledge to combat climate change, but time is of the essence. If we continue on our current path, we face a world with more extreme weather, rising seas, disrupted ecosystems, and significant human suffering. However, if we take decisive action now, by reducing emissions, protecting and restoring natural ecosystems, and transitioning to a sustainable economy, we can avert the worst impacts of climate change and build a future where both people and nature thrive. The next few decades are critical. The decisions made by governments, businesses, and individuals will shape the trajectory of our planet for centuries to come. It is a daunting challenge, but also an opportunity to create a better world, one that is more just, equitable, and resilient. As we conclude our exploration of the science behind climate change, it's clear that this is more than just a scientific issue. It's a story of our relationship with the planet, of the consequences of our actions, and of our capacity for change. The science is telling us that the time to act is now. We at Light at Night encourage you to be a part of this story, to take action in your own life, and to support the efforts of those working to protect our planet. The science behind climate change may be complex, but the message is simple. We must act, and we must act now.